Hi there, my name is Brent Sampson. I'm the president of Outskirts Press, a self-publishing company I founded in 2002 on the outskirts of Denver, Colorado. Since then, we have become the #1 self-publishing company on top consumer reviews and an A+ accredited company according to the Better Business Bureau. But most importantly, we have helped thousands of writers from all over the world publish tens of thousands of paperbacks, hardbacks, ebooks, and audiobooks. Some of the most common questions we receive from our clients involve book pricing, specifically what their book's retail price is going to be and how much money they're going to make. While I can never foresee how much money any particular author earns, I can say that at Outskirts Press, you get more control over those numbers than you'll get anywhere else. That control comes from letting you set your own retail price, your own trade discount, and therefore your own royalty. It's all based upon a formula that looks like this. Your suggested retail price minus your trade discount minus your printing cost equals the book's profit. The only number in that formula that you cannot control directly at Outskirts Press is the printing cost. Although, since the printing cost depends upon your format selection and your page count, you do have some degree of control over that as well. So what do all those terms mean, you might be asking? Well, we're going to cover all of that right now. Let's get into descriptions for each term in that formula. First of all, what is the suggested retail price? It's otherwise known as an SRP. It's just what it sounds like. It's the cover price as suggested by either the publisher or the author. While nearly all traditional publishers and almost all other self-publishers set the SRP for the author, there are a select few self-publishing companies, and Outskirts Press is one of them, that allows the author to select their own suggested retail price. The only parameter is that the suggested price of the book must be above the sum total of the trade discount and the printing costs. So in other words, your book's suggested retail price cannot be set below what it costs to produce and then sell the book. But that makes sense, right? Of course, the reason this is called a suggested retail price and not the final sales price is because retailers have the discretion to decrease the price in the form of a discount or a sale, or the discretion to increase the price in order to improve their own bottom line. But doing so has no effect on the amount the author ultimately receives, which is always set upon the suggested retail price. That's at least how it works at Outskirts Press. So then next let's talk about what a trade discount is, and that's certainly the most confusing term. Simply put, a trade discount is the percentage of the book's suggested retail price that the retailer, such as Amazon or Barnes & Noble, the wholesaler, and the distributor all take to handle each book. That's how each of those businesses make money selling copies of your book. Every book that is for sale with a retailer has given a percentage of its retail price to all the parties involved in the form of a trade discount. Next, let's talk about the printing cost. In simplest terms, the printing cost is the per unit cost of producing one book. The reason there is such a discrepancy between offset printing and print on demand one at a time printing is due to economies of scale. Basically, the more books that are printed at one time, the less expensive each individual book is to produce. And that's what allows the retail price to be lower for mass market paperbacks or huge bestsellers. It's why a Harry Potter book is quote-unquote inexpensive, even at 600 pages, compared with a print-on-demand book of similar length. The publisher of Harry Potter printed 10 million copies all at once, thereby bringing their per-unit cost down to pennies. Of course, the publisher also made that sizable, risky investment up front, an investment that equaled millions of dollars. I mean, of course, it's not much of a risk when you're printing a book by J.K. Rowling, but for the rest of us mere mortals, it's a risk that few traditional publishers are willing to take nowadays, and an investment even fewer writers are capable of making. Isn't it ironic that J.K. Rowling is among a handful of authors who would be capable of making just such an investment? On the flip side is print-on-demand self-publishing, also known as POD publishing. A book that is published POD operates on the exact opposite pricing model. Each book's printing cost is based upon printing only one book at a time, which protects you from having to make a sizable, risky investment up front. It also means the printing cost for each book costs dollars instead of pennies. And since, as we learned, the retail price must exceed the trade discount plus the printing cost, the retail price of a POD book is naturally going to be much higher. So then lastly comes the most important part, the book's profit, which relates to the author's royalties. And that question is, how does the book's profit relate to the author royalties? And that answer depends upon the publisher you choose. For instance, many publishers pay the author a percentage directly off the suggested retail price of the book, regardless of how much the book costs to produce or how much the trade discount is. In these instances, it is not uncommon for the percentage to be fairly low, in the 5% to 10% range. And while that's certainly less confusing, it can also work to the author's detriment, since book printing and trade discounting play such an enormous role in the book's overall profit margin. On the other hand, there are other publishers that pay the author a percentage of the book's net profit, That's the amount left over after the printing costs and the trade discounts have already been deducted from the suggested retail price. In these instances, authors often receive percentages in the 50% to 100% range. Yes, there are actually some self-publishing companies, such as Outskirts Press, that pay the author 100% of the net profit of the book when it is sold through wholesale channels, such as Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And there are others that pay 50% of the net profit, or sometimes even less than that. And that's why book pricing and author royalties can sometimes cause confusion when trying to decide upon the best self-publishing company for your masterpiece. Each publisher uses a slightly different definition for royalties and a slightly different formula to determine what those royalties are. So that's why you should always try to get the answer in terms of dollars and cents. It just makes more sense to make more dollars, doesn't it? And on that homonym, I'll bring this video to a close. I hope you found it helpful. So please like it or comment on it or share it with some writers you know. This is Brent Sampson signing off, and all of us at Outskirts Press wish you great success.